Thanks for this opportunity. I'm going to talk about community knowledge systems. The traditional contemporary knowledge that exists in the communities of diverse cultures, and how it can be tapped. How it can be tapped to address many of the problems that we face, the mainstream problems, or how it can make a bigger impact on the society. In general, that is my topic. In fact, it is interesting that what Srinivas Garu has spoken about, my presentation has a lot of connection to that. So he was actually talking about dams, but also about the need for efficient use of water, the conservation of water, and also the increasing the productivity of water. That is exactly I am going to talk about what are the options available, what kind of community knowledge that can be, that is already tapped. There is a silent revolution that is taking place in that direction. Also there are opportunities that can be tapped. That is what the interesting part. I really connect very well with the presentation. Let us see, I take 2 or 3 such examples and deal with that. See, as an NGO, I come from an NGO, a national level NGO working in 4 or 5 states in India. We work with communities on sustainable livelihoods, land rights, and so on and so forth. That is an opportunity for us. In fact, we work with diverse people, cultures, communities across these states, and then always try to see the livelihoods from the sustainability perspective, the ecological perspective, the conservation of resources perspective. Always to see that the gender and the eco-friendly approaches are taken care. So no intervention of ours is in fact harming the environment or harming the ecological system where the existing resources. That is we are very particular about. Also the gender, in fact the women participation in all the programs is very important for us. See that women take equal role in resource ownership as well as resource management. Also, one characteristic of our work is we work with all these smaller communities wherever we are, experiment with different kinds of smaller models, generate innovative ideas, and see that there are some results from it, and try to relate with the policy. So this is a unique work that we do. There are several to tell you examples. Very classic case is the organic farming, for example. Or the community knowledge systems in terms of, say, the health sector, identification of the ability to identify herbs in the forest areas, in biodiversity. There are many areas where the rich community knowledge that exists, and the only thing is we have to work on that. So whenever we engage with communities, it is in fact the first thing that we do is that to see what is the existing knowledge within the community and how best we can refine them and make use of it, how we can build on that knowledge. So that is the overarching approach that we take. And according to us, when we work especially in the natural resource management, forestry, agriculture, dealing with water resources, the environment, and building a certain kind of developmental models, we define that whatever is eco-friendly, that is having the opportunity to efficiently use the resources, and which will, by doing what, it will reduce the wastage of resources, or it will help in augmenting the resources while securing the livelihoods. All these are the qualities that we actually look for in whatever that we do. Either it is the community knowledge or the ideas that we promote in the communities. So most important is that equity. So are we doing something that is increasing the equitable distribution of resources? Are we doing something that is going to expand or increase the gap in the inequalities between the communities? This is a very important thing for us. I will also demonstrate, also tell you what exactly it means for us. There, some of these examples are like, see, organic farming. Many communities have a lot of diverse practices of using local resources and then doing agriculture at very low cost, very sustainable models. They don't harm anyway, like chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides. The NPM methods, which is coined as NPM, is non-pesticidal management. Many such practices already exist in the rural remote corners of, say, Odisha, forest communities in overseas. The reviving traditional crops, food systems, community forest management, or any participating groundwater management approaches. All these areas that we work in, all these, whatever that we do, has all these like these equalities. Now, talking just about community knowledge systems in general and how good it is, and we should work on that. From theory to let us go to practice. In fact, I am going to take two different cases of how community knowledge can change the world, can make a big difference to the food security situation in the country as well as in the world. How it is already happening, it's not that it's going to happen. So I am taking the first case as system of rice intensification. It is a new way of cultivating rice. Probably some of you know and some of you are not aware of it. Conventionally, conventionally paddy is cultivated. You know that it requires raising a nursery and transplanting it, flooding with water, using a lot of water. In fact, 1 kg of rice produced requires 5,000 to 6,000 liters of water. What Srinivas is telling is, in fact, true. This 5,000 to 6,000 is very high in our country. Maybe the irrigation efficiency of 25 to 30 or 40%. We are using a lot of water, particularly in case of rice. So, unlike the conventional paddy cultivation, this SRI method is about, it's an innovation, an agroecological innovation, and more interestingly, it is not from the scientific community. It is not from the laboratory, and no scientist has found this one. This has actually originated from the community knowledge. Somewhere in the corner of, say, Madagascar, in a small country, where farmers started using this method from their own cultural tradition for several years, and that is now spreading like a wildfire all over the world. The method involves, very briefly, that just transplanting single seedling. Very tender seedling is transplanted, unlike 30 days. It is only 10 days seedling is transplanted. The more important is that it is transplanted, the rice is transplanted, as you can see here, at a wider spacing and a very thick that we see generally in the conventional paddy cultivation. There is a regular weeding, and also the organic farming is the most important thing in this year. Here what the women is doing here is weeding, removing the weeds. But unlike in the conventional paddy cultivation, the weeds are not removed and thrown out. The weeds are already, it is incorporated into the soil, so it is helping in improving the soil fertility. That is the beauty of the whole system. In fact, in the whole entire agricultural technological situation, if you see, there is no such technology which will give you more rice by reducing your inputs. You have to, if you want to produce 10 kgs more, you have to give more fertilizer, you have to use better seeds, costlier seeds, you have to apply more pesticides, and it is always a resource exploitation. So, but SRI is something that you have to reduce the seed, your fertilizer requirement is less, the total labor requirement will come down, your soil fertility will improve, but still you can actually get a yield of 30 to 50 to 100% also. Farmers have demonstrated this. So this is the miracle, this is the most interesting part of this SRI revolution. I am just talking about here 1.5 to 3 tons per hectare. It is about farmers who are in remote corners of the country where Bihar, like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, the Odisha farmers cultivate rice in just smaller plots, half an acre, 1 acre of plots, and then it's all sustenance farming, rain-fed farming, there is no irrigation source. All these seeds are very local seeds, and they used to get a very low, baseline is very low, 1 ton per hectare. You cannot imagine that. The country's average is 3.3 tons per hectare, the rice production in the country. Whereas these parts of the country, the small farmers, they produce only 1 ton per hectare or 1.5 ton per hectare, which is just sufficient for their own consumption. Often it is not so much. Whatever they produce is not sufficient for their own consumption. It is only during half of the year they eat, and the rest of the year they have to find a job somewhere else or come to Hyderabad or Andhra Pradesh for brick making. That is the kind of situation. I have seen in the remote corners of this Odisha, where they find that they don't find food for their children for at least 5 to 6 months of the year. they try to go to forest and then collect some roots and then eat. Such kind of farmers, when they started practicing SRI, now you can, there is a tremendous change in their life. They are now started producing from 1 ton to 3 tons, an increase of 200% yield. And then there is an increase of soil fertility. That is the power of this SRI. So it's not only just in one state or in just one pocket of the country. Today, it is in the world, the 3 rice producing countries, China, India and then Indonesia, are the 3 largest rice producing countries. 80% of the rice comes from these 3 countries. And then out of all these countries, there are about 10 million farmers practicing SRI. It is spreading like anything. In China alone, there are 5 million farmers. In India, there are at least 1 million farmers already doing it. And in also you will appreciate that Tripura, a small state in India, which was about 5-6 years before, it was importing rice from its neighboring states like Assam, West Bengal. Now they are exporting from Tripura because of adopting SRI in a very large scale. 80% of the farmers in Tripura are doing SRI. And so the SRI-like methods, which are originating from the people, from the knowledge of the people, any direction, from any perspective, it is the best eco-friendly method. Has a very real potential of scaling and then addressing the food security, and at the same time saving water to 40 to 45% of the water. And so this is a very water efficient technology which can address the food security of the country, which is already happening, which is spreading it, but requires some more policy, probably more policy strengthened. Already our government of India has incorporated this one into National Food Security Mission, National Sustainable Agriculture Mission. Many state governments have already started doing this. NABARD has been funding for the last 2-3 years. SDGT, the Rawji Trust, like many CSR major organizations have started spreading this technology. I spoke about this just to demonstrate to you that there is some small ideas also can make a lot of difference. Let me go to the other idea. This is relatively unknown. This is for the last 3-4 years we have been working with these kind of farmers. See, this is a spring channel irrigation system. This is somewhere, it's not just in one village, it is spread across Karnataka and then Andhra Pradesh, in southern parts, like in Anantapur, Kurnool, Kadapa, the other side, Chitradurga, Kolar, areas. And it's vast areas of this Tungabhadra basin, including Hari, including the Penna river basin. Penna is a tributary of Tungabhadra. So there are a number of villages where these spring channels exist. The spring channel is something where you see that this kind of structure, a huge bit of the riverbed or a stream bed, already it is tapping water is coming out as a seepage. Slowly water comes out, very clear water, which is actually, in fact, somewhere it is a rainfall percolating into the sand beds, or somewhere the upstream dams, the seepage that is again engaging as into these pits, or also in some cases the upstream command areas, the irrigation drainage also coming back and then entering into the sand beds. It is emerging as a fresh water again. So from all these sources, the water that is coming out, farmers have been already harvesting this water, taking this water for kilometers together, at least 5 to 10 kilometers length of this gravity flow takes place before it reaches its command area, and then each such system is having about 500 to say 600, 700, generally the size of each system, the command area of each such spring channel irrigation system. And the beauty of this system is that all these farmers together manage this water in a very excellent way, most efficient way. You can't compare with any of the capacities of the engineers that today we have. They know how to really manage that water, allocate it, distribute it perfectly, in an equitable way. There are no conflicts between these farmers. There is no caste, political systems exist, political differences. It is really fascinating. The first time when I visited one of these channels, the first channel that as a part of my study, it was really mesmerizing for me that I did not believe that it still can happen. So that is the kind of system that exists here. It is called the Kochi institutional system, where people organize themselves and then manage water. They put even fines on the farmers who do not comply. and all such social regulatory systems are existing. But I am not going to stress much on that because it is anyway there, which can be learned and many people study it. The most interesting also another aspect is that engineering part. So these people, the entire water supply distribution system is different from what today engineers design. Our engineering systems generally a water distribution system in irrigation command area consists of a main canal, a distributary, a minor, and then further field channels. It is not so. So these people are using a different kind of distribution system where there is no main canal, there is no distributary, there is no minor. A typical distribution network looks like this. The one that starts, say, from the origin of that pit that you have seen, after 3-4 kilometers, so the distribution system just splits itself like this, and then finally what reaches at the end is there is no main canal at the end. Everybody receives water equally. Wherever there is a division into 2-3 branches, the water goes equally, gets equally distributed. There is no regulatory mechanisms. It's all automatic system which really addresses the equity issue in the command areas. In fact, it is also, when you talk about the command areas and irrigation potentials, it is also important not only just to talk about the irrigation aggregate potential, but also how we are able to distribute within the command area, the latent problems, the salient issues. And so these people could really nicely address those issues, and by architecturing something a different kind of a distribution system. That is what in fact captured my imagination, and that I think has a very large potential beyond these 10, 15, 20 systems that are already existing. It has an implication to the entire dam and or major irrigation systems in the country. What I feel is that the water irrigation projects, as already discussed to some extent, we have every project there is a problem of tailend deprivation. Every project has a problem of potential created, actually irrigated, huge difference in this. In fact, say about 130 or so, if million hectares is the potential that is created, it is actually irrigated area is only 70 or 80 million hectares. There is a huge difference. And so, I think we need to first focus on bridging that gap. How do we efficiently use water so that the potential lost is again taken back, which we revive that. In fact, the whole the farmers' participation, the participatory irrigation management, the irrigation reforms, all that happened in the last 20 years, it only increased the politics in the villages, but it has not reached, not given any interesting, any useful result so far in terms of water use efficiencies. So we have to actually think of such learnings from these kind of punchy systems in terms of social organization, as well as the kind of water distribution systems that they operate. And then I think in terms of engineering, we have to go back and to learn from the people and then re-engineer our irrigation system so that whatever actually lost irrigation potential, irrigation efficiency, productivity increase, all that can be addressed. Some estimate is that as per the Planning Commission, 46 million hectares is the loss in potential, irrigation potential. So if we can divide just 10 million hectares out of that, that's a big achievement. In fact, I would like to take a position that instead of constructing another dam for a 10 million hectare irrigated area potential, it is better to work on these actually the areas of irrigation efficiency increasing. This is the most serious issue that is bothering the irrigation sector today. I would like to, with these two ideas, what I would like to conclude is, see any ideas, something like SRI to spread. There are many people who say that SRI farmers are not interested. That is true. In many areas, SRI is not universal. SRI has failed also some places. Some farmers said that we don't want to do it. And somewhere where it is alkaline, saline areas, SRI is not giving results. You need something else. It is not that SRI failed. It's as simple as this. If doctor advised us to brush in the morning as well as in the night, and we don't do it, it is not the advice that is wrong, but it is the actual person who is not doing it that is wrong. So SRI as a principle, as a set of very They are very broad principles, and so we have to adopt these SRI principles to different kind of local settings, and if necessary, we have to change the existing principles. That is, in fact, what has been happening also. In a way, it is happening already in Andhra Pradesh. In many other crops, the SRI is already spreading. What is the interesting element in this is like in sugarcane, more vegetable cultivation. Farmers are going for deliberately for wider spacing of the crop. They realize that once you give a wider spacing, plant to plant spacing, row to spacing more, then there is a more aeration is taking place, more better growth environment for the plants, and so yields are increasing. Just by going for wider spacing between the rows, vegetable cultivation, say in chili, farmers are able to increase their yield by 20 to 30%. How wonderful this is! And so SRI is really wonderful concept which need to be. The only thing is another point that I would like to highlight is such kind of people's ideas or knowledge systems still exist, and we should not actually think that there is an end already. When Dying Wisdom was written, nothing else is there. So there are a lot of ideas still in the communities. The only thing is we should have an eye for details and then capture them as a broad set of principles, not as a rigid. Don't try to take as such and then cut and paste. It has to be taken as a set of broad principles and then try experiment them for application. Then only actually this will succeed. And the last thing that I would like to say is the policies, especially that a lot need to be done in terms of policies and support mechanisms, even for SRI like ideas. There are many incentives now in the country, but still it is not enough. Particularly the incentives that, right incentives that, what I want to say is, in the context of say water user associations, 90% of the water cess that is collected is given to them. It is projected as if that is the panacea to all the problems of the irrigation sector. So it should work. That is the kind of logic that we build. So WAs, by seeing 90%, they should actually work day and night and see that everything happens. But it is not so. In fact, money that they get actually collected is not 90%. Because for the Command Area Act is only 30 or 40% of the farmers that they are paying. The reason for it is that inequality in distribution. The rest of the 60% of the farmers, they are not getting water. So why should they pay? And so we are not addressing the root causes of the problem. Instead of addressing the root causes, it is just a fancy idea that okay, make it 100%, things will work. So the incentives are important, but it has to be properly designed, the thought out incentives. So with all these things, also a multi-stakeholder approach is very much required. Just one example and then I close. See, in case of SRI, after doing for say in Odisha and then some of the states where we worked, after working for 20,000 farmers, 30,000 farmers, we faced a serious problem. There is no supply of feeders. There is no agency which can supply required small goods like feeders and these things. And then we initially went for small fabricators. Every village you will find blacksmith. So they can get it 10 units, 20 units, 30 units. But then we needed suddenly 10,000 units. And so the Usha Martin like agencies, Usha Martin Agriculture implements, it's a company. They came forward. They came with a very good design of the wheelers. They manufactured and then on a large scale all over the country in the last 2 years. They are the major suppliers. Every year they supply 60,000 to 70,000 such wheelers. And so there the private sector also is required to play a major role. They are now getting concessions, I think, from the government, tax-free tax concessions. And so such participation is very much essential to actually scale up these ideas. As long as they are very small, it works. Just an NGO can do it. But then once it has to be upscaled, then we need to bring in the private participation, the government department, line departments, and everybody has to work together. If that can happen, in fact, the problems of all the irrigation sector can be also addressed partly. I'm not saying that this is the solution, but we need to actually take a multi-pronged strategy. It's not that supply side augmentation, building new dams is not required. It is very much required. I am actually personally feel that there are good dams, there are bad dams. Like Pulichindala is a good dam according to me. But then these ideas are also very much important. Thank you very much.
So I have a very small question. So one about the leader. If you leave the weeds catch again?
No, it's not. It is very good for the soil. In fact, you are incorporating in the soil and then it will immediately get digested, decomposed within a few days.
Because just using the example of urban situation, when you weed a lawn for instance, if you leave the weed in the lawn, the weed will catch it.
So if you allow it to openly dry and then allow it to spread, but here you are incorporating in the soil itself. You are not allowing it to come out. It is under aerobic conditions that decomposition takes place.
Okay, so there is
If
a
the soil is wet and you are using a meter to put it inside the soil, at least a few inches below the soil.
Okay, that's right. And one more thing, when you are saying that the yield has increased due to spacing, are you looking at yield per sapling or yield per hectare?
No, this is both. See, in SRA what is happening is the number of panicles, the number of grains, all that number increases. As a fodder, as a grain production, it is increasing, and so per plant as well as per hectare it is higher. So the number of plants per hectare is lesser compared to the conventional one. Your aggregate yield is increasing by 30 to 80%, 100% also. There are farmers who produce 10 tons per hectare, 12 tons per hectare, which is unimaginable yields that with any stagnation of this, now the current high yielding varieties and any green evolution technologies cannot match this kind of yields. Okay, any questions? Otherwise, Mr. Vasan has to speak.
Why farmers are waiting for adopting this?
No, I don't think so. It is actually millions of farmers are already doing it. One good reason I would like to actually say for example in Andhra Pradesh, many farmers, 1 or 2 seasons they have done it and then they went back. This is a fact. But the reason is that the baseline yield data. Suppose if the baseline is say 1 ton per hectare and by doing SRI you are getting 2 tons per hectare, it is 100% increase. But in the Andhra Pradesh already farmers have achieved a yield of 3 to 4 tons. 5 tons also already yields are there. Because they have reached the peak of already green evolution, applied all kinds of fertilizers and spoiled everything already. So now if you say that you do SRI, you will get 5.5 tons. It is only 10% increase in the yield, which is not attractive. That is the reason that people are not able to
Because why I am asking,
stick to that.
one of the schemes, we give money to Acharya Kunjiranga University scheme. One of the objectives is to reduce this SRI contribution to the farmers. So at that time they were telling that there is a reference of the farmers to adopt this SRI. They were planning to do an experiment in the field and then we were giving money to that basically. So other farmers can see and then adopt that.
No, that is, there is truth in that. In fact, we have already for last 2-3 generations, the soil is already overexploited. It is completely depleted of all the NPK fertilizers in it, the nutrients in it. So it has to replenish it now. So it takes a long time to actually come back to ecological agriculture, replenish it, still maintain the yields. You want to maintain a yield of say 5 tons per hectare or 6 tons per hectare. Still you don't want to apply any fertilizers in SRI. It is very difficult. You have to wait for the results. That is the reason that I think, but then I have reports that Tamil Nadu is doing. Tamil Nadu in the Kaveri Delta Basin, because of untimely supply of water, they are now completely shifted to SRI. They don't know when the water will come. Even though it's a good rainfall year, only first it has to fill the KRS, then it has to fill Mettur, and then only water will come. By the time they get water, it is already October or November, and so they have decided to go for SRI. It is the kind of sense that we get.
Sir, what is the scope for commercialization of the traditional knowledge to make more relevant in today's scenario?
So commercialization in this sense, you need companies who can give support services, who can manufacture gears. We need technical people who actually try and prepare many labor, who can transplant in SRI method. You need a lot of support services. The support services can only come from private or NGO sectors. Because the government extension system has very few people already there occupied and they can't deliver. It is not that they don't have quality, but it is the number that is important. So that is the reason I am saying that the multi-stakeholder participation is really essential. But I don't call it a commercialization. I don't think you can make profits out of promoting SRI. We have not reached that stage except for in East Godavari or West Godavari where people stopped cultivating and then started giving on only these. And so you have an opportunity to take on these. Otherwise, no. I think that you don't get that kind of situation, farmers leaving agriculture. Only thing is we have to ensure that it is profitable, it becomes more profitable through various kinds of methods. So all these are opportunities. So we need not, the point that I want to say is that like, when talking like the Bunchi system, don't see Bunchi system in isolation. It has a lot of insights in it. The only thing is we are not able to capture and then apply over mainstream issues. Mainstream systems, we think that my irrigation systems are different, their irrigation systems are different. So many researchers continue to work on these kind of issues, but only saw these two separately. We have to relate. It is the big job that we have to do. Thank you.